Brooklyn 7 came about and it was founded by Sheila DeBretfield and myself in 1985, and it was 7 students, and it was named Brooklyn 7 because Sheila was from Brooklyn. It started to give students a real world experience to design.
And it was kind of a group of elite students that were handpicked to do community work and some publications for the college.
And it was the notion was to provide good design for people who could not otherwise afford it.
Well, I think that when Brooklyn 7 started, it was a concept of its time. Sheila came from the women's building, and there was a really strong kind of a culture there of community service and women's issues and things like that. And so I think she wanted to develop something at Otis that would kind of carry on that tradition and be a part of the community in a way that graphic designers can be.
My favorite project, and the one that actually sort of changed the way I thought about graphic design, was we did a broadside. They were redoing Grand Central Market downtown, and it was going to be boarded up for a really long time. And right across the street is a old folks home. And Sheila suggested that since they were going to be looking at this thing for all those months, that maybe we should include them in the design process in some way. We all went and interviewed the people that were living in the home and asked them memories that related to food and all this other kind of stuff, because food is very comforting to most people. And then we selected some of the quotes, and they were included in on the broadside. So it just made something that would have been sort of pretty much more interesting.
When Sheila left to go to the East Coast, the school and myself felt that it was a better fit to call the group Otis Design Group, because then it had something to do with Otis and was easily identified with Otis.
I think the change did happen during that time when Sheila left and Ave took over and started bringing on other people. I mean, that was just a very definite change.
We began to take more clients. I guess our mantra and motto was real work for real clients. So we would always be able to choose who we would like to work with. Larger clients and clients, even though they were nonprofit, we also began to take some for-profit clients if they were startups or if they were struggling, and we found them to be worthy.
And Otis Design Group had like this a glass room, and you could see in there, and it was kind of like very special to be part of it. You know, they were kind of separated from the rest of the crowd.
Rarely referred to the members of the group as students. They were always designers.
So it was the second semester leading up to the fashion show, and so I was heavily involved with helping a couple students develop that project, and it was very elaborate. And so it was the fashion show program for 2004. It was a perfect example of what a baby designer will come up with, that has no real knowledge of the difficulty of certain processes or how to realize certain ideas. So it had Mylar that was overlaying other printed, lots of layers, and the Mylar had to be silk screened. So that was an entirely different process, very expensive. You know, she had never done anything near this elaborate, probably never done any commercial work at all. And it can be a very scary prospect to go on a press check, big, huge 4-color litho machines that take up a building, and to be there to say yes or no. And so I was glad to participate in that way. I actually really loved that whole process and became really good friends with this particular student as well.
We got grants from the city and from Cultural Affairs Department, and those grants were generally not a lot, between $2,500 and $4,000 a year. One of our dear clients was a group called Spirit Awakening, and it was run by an actress named Koyo Brown. Her foundation had no money. had no money. But she was helping incarcerated youth. And we started by doing some poems, a little book of poems. And I think that there were probably half a dozen books in the series. So each year she would come to us and we would do a book that was similar to this. This is the story of me. And the books were very simple. They were designed very simple. There were no images. You know, there was just typography. And each one of these, I guess, inclusions were written by somebody who was either in jail or in a juvenile detention center or in a at-risk group. And they could really express themselves and be published.
So yes, I do believe that there's a place still for something like Brooklyn 7 or ODG. There always will be. It's a great opportunity, and I think that if it's run sort of in the same way that Brooklyn 7 was, where it's about being socially conscious and aware, there's more power to it. I wish it existed.
I think it'd be a great idea to bring Otis Design Group back, but care should be taken in the way that they select the students and the projects as well, so that they're well suited to young designers.
Well, it's a really good program, and it really teaches students to become professional. So I can't say it's the next best thing to being a professional, because it is professional. So it's important that they get this experience, and I would certainly support a new group of doing real work for real clients. I have to tell you that it's a big job. It doesn't happen overnight. And you know, this little book here, which represents 20 years of Otis Design Group, it didn't start out this sophisticated. So it started out very humbly, and then it grew. You know, we grew because we got better and better. So I would say that if Otis wanted to do that again, they would have to really be committed to it and not get discouraged, and to just somehow make it happen.